Weather impacts everyone in Central Georgia. Our priority is to make sure you have enough time to prepare for anything. Organized storms, tropical systems, extreme heat, or cold. We want you to get information early and often about what to expect and when, so you can be prepared and stay safe with 13 WMAZ Weather Impact Alerts. Hello and thanks for joining us. At 13 WMAZ, we know the weather can make or break your plans for the day. That's why we're rolling out a new way to let you know when there's inconvenient weather heading our way. You're used to knowing when the sleeves go up, it's heads up for severe weather, but in most cases, when that happens, we're dealing with severe storms happening now, potential for damaging winds, tornadoes, all that stuff, the serious stuff. But we face other dangerous weather in Central Georgia, like tropical systems and extreme heat or cold. We want to make sure you're paying attention to those conditions too. That's why we'll be issuing weather impact alerts when we spot those conditions in the forecast. It means you should just keep checking back with our team of meteorologists frequently on air and online. Now, I want to be clear. Our team is never trying to scare you or hype any weather event. That is simply not us. But we do want to be the first to give you the heads up so you can be prepared and stay safe. So, when will we issue a weather impact alert? Well, it depends on the type of weather event we're dealing with. Now, I have the 13 WMAZ weather team here with me to help explain. Since it's summer, let's talk first about extreme heat. Alex Pry breaks down when and why we'd issue an alert for these conditions.
We all know Central Georgia can get hot and leave you looking for any way to stay cool, like checking out a splash pad like this one. Most days, the heat is just uncomfortable, but on some days, it can be dangerous. It's those days we want to alert you to and prepare you for. So, what is considered dangerous heat? We'll be looking out for when the National Weather Service issues an excessive heat watch. They'll issue it when conditions are favorable for an excessive heat event in the next 1 to 3 days. The watch could then be upgraded to a warning. That typically happens when we're expecting feels-like temperatures of at least 105 degrees and nighttime temperatures not dropping below 75 degrees. The last time that happened was August 13th and 14th last year. Our high temperatures were forecasted in the upper 90s, typical of a summer day here. But feels-like temperatures were expected to climb up to a blistering 114 degrees. Temperatures like that increase the risk of dehydration, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. That's why our team would issue a weather impact alert and start reminding you in advance about the importance of drinking water, taking breaks in the shade if you're working or playing outside. In Macon, meteorologist Alex Pry, 13 WMAZ News.
One thing I do want to point out is this is not an alert in the sense of what you would think of as like a warning. The National Weather Service, they're the only folks that can issue watches, warnings, alerts, things like that. So in the sense of an alert here, it's just like, hey, pay attention to this day because we're paying attention to it. And we may end up, as we'll talk about, walking it back. I mean, there may be something 3 or 4 days out. This is something we're keeping an eye on, but things have changed. It's not looking that bad. We're going to cancel it. Or maybe we stick with it, you know. So, and they're different topics. Some of us have been talking about some of those different topics.
With weather, it's ever changing. The atmosphere is always changing. It's one of the hardest things to predict in nature, really, that we do have. Mm-hmm. So we see outlooks by the SPC. We've seen it as recently as a couple months ago where they'll issue a level 3 about 3 days out ahead of time, but then they'll backtrack it to a level 1. Mm-hmm. Or the exact opposite. We'll get a level 1 and they'll upgrade it all the way to a level 3. So this is kind of a way for us to tell you to keep an eye on these days as we do get these alerts, but also be very transparent about it with you, the viewers, in order to kind of relay what we are thinking in terms of all of this with these alerts. So as the National Weather Service agrees confidence is less for a storm system or heat or cold, then we'll kind of backtrack it too. And we want to be able to give you the warning ahead of time, but if we have to backtrack it, that's still a pretty good scenario, but obviously going to be very transparent with our thoughts on that.
From one extreme to the other. We know the first freeze is something Central Georgians pay attention to, particularly our farmers and gardeners. There's also the extremely rare forecast for ice and, of course, even snow. But if it's on our radar, meteorologist David Guerrero explains we'll put it on yours too.
Pecans, strawberries, and peaches. When temperatures drop below 32 degrees, it can affect the harvest in these fields. It's not just here. We know it can make a difference around your house too. The average first freeze is around November 11th. But there are years when it comes earlier. In 2022, the first freeze happened on October 20th, about 3 weeks ahead of schedule. Last year's first freeze came 9 days early on November 2nd. When we issue a weather impact alert, We'll use National Weather Service outlooks to predict our first freeze and let you know what to expect as cold temperatures settle in. We want to make sure you got all the information you need to protect your pipes, pets, and plants. Remember December of 2022? We saw the costly combination of freezing temps and ice that Christmas.
You don't want to be away from home. We got pets, and you know, you don't want to pack all that up and try to move and come back next week. So we're hoping we can wait it out. So it's just been an interesting Christmas.
People left their homes for days. Pipes burst in Macon and Milledgeville, and many were without water. 2 people in Macon died from the cold in 2022 and 2 more in 2020. It's in cases like those that we'll issue a weather impact alert. A forecast of a few flurries won't fall into our consideration. Leading up to the alert days, we'll remind you of open warming shelters, how to protect yourself outside, and what to remember when driving or heating your home. And we know that a freeze that comes late in the spring can be detrimental to crops. Peach farmers are still recovering after last year's production was a near total loss. And we'll take all of that into account when we issue our weather impact alert for freezing weather. At Dickey Farms, meteorologist David Guerrero, 13 WMAZ.
I don't say, which one would we leave out? Oh, I know. The S word, snow. Snow, sleet. Who wants that one, huh? I mean, nobody wants to talk about that. Well, that's one of these where I picture it in my head, like how does it look if we're coming up on a snow event? And we always kind of tap dance around that because we're always kind of on the edge of that. You know, North Georgia may see it a little bit more, and we're kind of iffy on the whole snow line. So I think it would have to be something where we're pretty sure that this is likely to happen, and then we still could walk that back, even on that.
And that's where the National Weather Service will come into play. We have to have a lot of agreement and collaboration because, you know, some of the models could say there'll be snow showing up, and then next thing you know, a couple hours before, drier air just comes in and just ruins the entire forecast. So agreement and certainty is extremely important in regards to forecasting snow and issuing a weather impact alert day for those events.
So what will it look like on your screens when we issue a weather impact alert? Let's take a look. First, we're using all the same tools we usually do, but when we issue a weather impact alert, we'll also add in this graphic. It's a simple way to show you when we're expecting the weather. Let's take in this case, a hypothetical. Top right of your screen says Sunday. In the wind column, we show noon to 4 in the afternoon. What will the impacts be? Well, in this case, we would say severe weather is possible. And in the next column, the need. Well, you need a weather radio. You need the 13 WMAZ app, some way that you can get watches, warnings, alerts in the event that severe weather did happen on that Sunday. You'll also see very clearly on the 7-day when to expect the weather impact alert day. You can see it right here. This is on a Sunday. So there it is, big bright red box with the weather impact alert logo. Sometimes with tropical systems, we'll have a pretty clear idea of the path of a storm, and then it changes course. Meteorologist Ansley Parker explains when we'd be likely to issue a weather impact alert and how we could walk it back if the models change.
I'm on I-16 in Dublin, and you'll notice behind me these cross arms. They're a part of Georgia's contraflow system to help the coast evacuate ahead of threatening tropical systems. The state installed the gates in 2002, and they were used for the first time in 2016 when Hurricane Matthew forced evacuations, again in 2017 with Hurricane Irma, and most recently in 2019 with Hurricane Dorian. Needless to say, we're no stranger to the impact tropical systems can have. Hurricane Michael was particularly devastating to central Georgia. According to the NWS, it made landfall near Panama City, Florida as a Category 5. It then quickly moved inland, hitting southwest Georgia as a Category 3. As a matter of fact, it still packed Category 2 strength as it moved through our area. The NWS says winds gusted over 70 miles per hour in parts of central Georgia, causing tree damage, power outages, and severe damage to crops, especially cotton and pecans.
It's a sobering reminder of what Mother Nature can do.
The good news is tropical systems will be the easiest weather event for us to get ahead of and trigger a weather impact alert. That's because we typically get more notice about tropical activity than any other kinds of storms. As a tropical system approaches, we'll deliberate whether or not that system will bring hazardous conditions. We'll factor in things like wind speeds, rainfall totals, and the possibility of severe thunderstorms or even tornadoes when determining when to issue a weather impact alert. We'll track the cone of uncertainty and follow long-range forecasts to figure out the timing of our weather impact alerts. National Weather Service watches and warnings will also influence our decision-making. But as we've seen, sometimes we'll forecast a direct line from a hurricane only for it to change course later on. That's when we'll walk back our weather impact alert and stand down as the storm changes course. In Dublin, meteorologist Ansley Parker, 13 WMAZ News.
It's the tropics. I mean, that might be, when we look at, let's say, tropical stuff, that might be one of these things where it's a little bit easier to throw one of these weather impact days out there many days in advance. So we can follow these things a long way out.
It's not one of those things where we're issuing watches and warnings. We're really just sort of giving you an idea of what we're seeing on our end here and saying, hey, watch out for this. This is what we're paying attention to. And the good thing about it is it's giving you several days of notice to kind of get ready for these things and check back in with us as we continue to watch how they develop.
And like with the tropical system and that track, I mean, we see that all the time. It can go one way or the other. And so it's what we're already doing. We're already saying this day, 4 or 5 days out or whatever, is a day we are watching for the possibility of that. And we shift that around anyway. So this just kind of puts it visually, like if you're just walking by a TV or digital, on your device, you'll see that impact alert day and you'll just say, I need to watch that day. Now, we talked about when and why our team will issue a weather impact alert for certain events. Now, let's talk about why we won't issue one for others, like typical summertime storms. This is what storms can and often do look like in the spring months in central Georgia. Gusty winds, frequent lightning, and heavy rain. Now, this is what storms can and often do look like in the summer months in central Georgia. Gusty winds, frequent lightning, and heavy rain. So, why would we call for a weather impact alert day more often for spring storms than summer storms? Well, a lot of it has to do with timing and overall impact to our area as a whole. Spring storms are usually part of larger scale weather systems. We can track these systems and their arrival times days in advance. March, April, and May are generally thought of as the peak of severe weather season in central Georgia. The large-scale systems we experience in springtime can impact nearly our entire viewing area and can happen at any time during the day and night. Oh, and did I mention this is our primary tornado season? Yeah. This is also when the SPC, or Storm Prediction Center at the National Weather Service, is more likely to issue those familiar threat maps. The level 1 through 5 stuff we talk about a lot during that time of year. On those days of greatest severe threat, you are likely to see our team issue a weather impact alert. But in summertime, storms work on a totally different mechanism. They pop up during the heat of the day, afternoon and evening type stuff. And since any given day in the summertime provides the ingredients needed for an occasional storm, we would be chasing our tails, issuing weather impact alerts during those months. This is not to say that we couldn't see a strong to severe storm in summer, but they would generally be isolated to one area and for the most part wouldn't affect many folks. Of course, if we ever saw the possibility of a more active day than normal, we would consider issuing a weather impact alert. So there is a lot of thought that's going to go into these kind of days. We're not just going to flippantly throw one out there. And then having said that, and this is the main thing I want to get across, this is not for scare or hype or any of that. I pride us in that that's not who we are. You can find that anywhere on television, in this industry, in media, anywhere. Everybody's trying to get eyeballs and clicks and hype and all that stuff and everything. That is not how we do it here in this weather department. So we're trying to be reassuring. We're all friends about this. You're our friend. We're your friends, hopefully. And so we're trying to say this is what we're seeing. We're not trying to scare you and trying to say, oh, you must watch this certain day because this is going to be bad. It's just that we're paying attention to it with hopes that as we get closer, it becomes a non-event and we can take that thing off the board.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, talking about us getting on the same page as a team, it's about all of us getting on the same page and then getting everybody else on the same page too, just saying, hey, this is what we're watching and also this is how transparent we're being about it. This is what we know now. It might change, but it might not, so just pay attention and keep checking in with us.
And head on over to 13WMAZ.com. We have everything you need to know about weather impact alerts and links to these stories, plus our full conversation about when and how we'll issue them. In the meantime, don't forget to download the 13WMAZ mobile app. You can get it in the Google Play or Apple Store. Once you get the app, be sure to sign up for notifications. You'll get the latest weather and news alerts sent right to your phone. We hope our decision-making, easy-to-follow graphics, and transparent look inside this process will keep us as your trusted source before, during, and after inconvenient weather makes its way through central Georgia.